When was the last time you were given any financial advice? Yesterday? Today? Tomorrow? You'll often see people when they talk about cryptocurrency saying DYOR. Do your own research. Well, that's all good and well, but what happens about that fundamental financial advice that we should probably have been given at school, but more than likely weren't? Yeah, I certainly wasn't. But that's why I'm here today, because today I want to talk to you about a book that first came out in 1997 by a guy called Robert Kiyosaki. Probably pronounced that incorrectly, and I'm really sorry if I have, but fundamentally it is a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, I'm not going to go through every single word around the book and the story because I want you to read it. The reason for telling you this today is I genuinely think it's one of those books that we should all read. Even if you're not a huge reader, buy it on bloody Audible. Stick your earpods in and just listen to it as you're walking to the bus stop, walking around the park, walking around the house, whatever it is, because it's all around financial understanding and giving yourself the best possible chance to succeed in the world of personal finance. I mean, fundamentally, it tries to destroy the myth that the rich are born rich. It takes it all the way back to understanding what an asset is. Is your personal residence an asset? Or is it actually a liability? And how you can build income generating assets. It's split across 3 fundamental sections. There's like 6 lessons that Robert learned, 5 obstacles you've got to overcome, sounds a bit like A Christmas Carol, and 10 steps to follow to become a financial genius. Well, being a genius would be nice, but anyway, you can become a financial genius. So the way that the book is split out is you've got Rich Dad and Poor Dad. Poor Dad was Robert's biological father, who was highly intelligent and very well educated. Sounds like a good start. His poor dad believed in working hard and studying hard, and then ultimately finding a well-paid job, which is probably not too dissimilar to many of us, even if coronavirus has kind of thrown a slight spanner in the works. We go to school, we work hard, we go to university if that's the right thing for you to do. You get a degree, you get a job, you work really hard, and hopefully you'll get the paid job that you're looking for. On the other hand, Robert's rich dad was the father of his best friend. He had a similar work ethic to Kiyosaki's real dad, but with a slight twist. Rich Dad believed in financial education, something that I don't think we do anything near like what we should do. I don't believe we do any of it across the schooling systems, and hopefully you've had some in your personal lives, but it is massively missing. Financial education is about how to make money work for you. So the first 2/3 of the book are pretty much the 6 lessons that Robert learned from his rich dad. I'm going to go through a couple of the high-level themes because I don't want to give away all of the details and I want you to read it or to listen to it, but it is hugely important. Chapter 1 is all around how the rich don't work for their money. You might look at me and think, Brendan, what the dickens are you going on about? Robert talks about the rich making their money work for them, whereas those in the poorer middle classes, as he refers to them, talk about how they work for money. You can think about this on the time series basis. So generally, if you want to earn more, you have to work more. You have a job that pays you an hourly rate. You want to earn more, you have to work more. That's where time and earnings are linked. Now the rich talk about making their money work for them. So this could be the whole scenario around make money while you sleep. Your earnings are not directly related to the amount of hours that you put in. Alternatively, they might be talking around assets that help generate income and make money in the long term. But that first nuance around that the rich work for money is hugely important. Chapter 2 is all around financial literacy. Strip it right the way back. Do you know what an asset is? Did you know that assets produce income? Assets appreciate, and assets do both, i.e. appreciate and generate income. If you've been fortunate enough to buy a property over the last 10-15 years, you've probably been a recipient of assets appreciating. Something that you own that has gone up in value through no fault of your own or no doing of your own, unless you've added to it from an extension or from a cosmetic or whatever you've done to add value to it. But also knowing that assets can appreciate like classic cars, but assets can also generate income like stocks and investments. He also refers and talks about liabilities. Now, there's a real drive, and I don't know whether this is the modern age or not, but to own stuff. You end up buying stuff on credit. That's a liability. It's about how much you have to owe to somebody else. Credit cards are the prime example. You want to buy a really nice top, or you want to buy some cool gadget, a pair of the new Apple Max earphones, and you buy it on credit card. Well, that's now a liability. Not only is that purchase of the earphones going to depreciate, so the moment you buy it, it's going to be worth less than it was previously. Because if you were to resell it, you're not going to get the same 550 quid back. Also, if you've paid for it on credit, you're going to be paying off for the next however many months. So it's a liability in both senses. And understanding what you spend and how you spend it on is hugely important. You really want more assets than liabilities, and that's where you get the net asset value from. But think about it, how many times have you made a purchase and you've been paying it off and the asset has depreciated the moment you've taken it away? You want to minimize those as far as possible, as Kiyosaki says. Chapter 3 is all around minding your own business. And the two key messages, and I'm happy to give these to you now. First, pay off your debts and start investing in income producing assets as soon as possible. Number 1. Number 2, stay financially healthy by spending time and investing as much of your money as possible in assets. So think about that for a moment. You want to spend your time looking and investing in assets as far as possible. And one of the favourite phrases that comes out of the book, and I'm just going to read it to you, is the primary reason the majority of the poor and middle class are fiscally conservative is that they have no financial foundation. A lot of F's. They have to cling to their jobs and play it safe. They cannot afford to take risks. How does that sound? Are you chained to your credit card? Are you chained to your environment because you've got no financial foundation? There are some crazy statistics around lack of savings and lack of financial freedoms and lack of financial understanding across the UK, certainly, and I'm sure around the world. If you don't have those financial foundations, and a lot of it comes down to literacy and understanding, you are forever going to be chasing a paycheck. And you may even hear the term job stands for just over broke. So are you just going from paycheck to paycheck? Or salary month to salary month if you don't live in the US? Anyway, don't know. But that's chapter 3. Chapter 4 is all around the history of taxes and the power of corporations. So corporations, i.e. limited companies here in the UK. I'm not going to go into the details here because I will probably get them wrong, but he talks around how the wealthy and the rich use corporations and companies to help reduce their tax bills and treat it as a business expense. Now, you have to be really careful around what you do and what you don't do, and if you're not sure, please make sure that you get proper financial advice and ask an accountant to help you with that. But the point I want you to take away is that the rich use the legal structures available to minimise the taxes that they pay. Now, depending on which side of the political spectrum you sit on, of whether it be sort of a conservative or a liberal, you may or may not agree with how that works, but quite frankly, if it's legal and it's in law, you're generally allowed to do it. If you don't like it, that's kind of your problem. But please don't step on the wrong side of the law and don't do anything you shouldn't do. So if in doubt, please ask an accountant. But just bear that in mind. How many times do you see people invest through companies because that's the most tax efficient way to do it? I know for a fact that you can start a company from Companies House with the cost of about 13 quid. So getting a company up and going is reasonably easy, but that doesn't mean that you should do it, and please don't get yourself into a bit of a pickle. So if in doubt, ask and get some help. One part to really call out though on chapter 4, the difference with how people pay tax. Business owners with a corporate structure earn, spend, pay taxes. Employees with corporations earn, pay taxes, spend. See how that works? All of a sudden, the spending at the end is the last piece. You earn, you pay tax, and then whatever you've got left over is yours to spend as you wish. Well, God, wouldn't it be better to try and minimize that as much as possible so that the more you end up with at the end of each month, you can invest into income generating assets. Chapter 5 is around the rich inventing money. Inventing money means finding opportunities or deals that other people don't have the skill, the knowledge, the resources, or the contacts for. He talks about investment packages and professional packages, opportunities that other people haven't found. I'll leave you to read into that chapter because he does go into things like ETFs, or exchange traded funds, and generally how most people invest. And certainly Warren Buffett said if he was starting again, he would use probably passively managed index tracker funds. Please do Google any of those. But the point is, there's plenty to look at, and the rich will look at ways to invent money and create opportunities. He then goes on in chapter 6 to talk about work to learn, don't work for money. As he says, I recommend to young people to seek for what they will learn, more than what they will earn. Look down the road at what skills they want to acquire before choosing a specific profession and before getting trapped in the rat race. Now that is hugely important, because how many people are out there that are stuck in jobs they just don't want to do? Monday morning comes around and they think, God, I couldn't think of anything worse. Kiyosaki talks around, like, find something that you enjoy doing and learn about it. And that's what he did. He joined the Marines, and he came out of the Marines, and he wanted to learn about business, and he learned from his rich dad, and all of a sudden he's ended up with this rich dad, poor dad empire. He does go on to talk about cash flow management, systems management, people management, all that sort of good stuff. But I would encourage you to read the chapter, because it does go into some really important and salient points. Now this is the important part. He talks about the quadrant. You know what the quadrant is. It's a 2x2 model. Now just imagine, on the left-hand side, you have E and S. E and S. On the right-hand side, you have B and I. On the right is passive, and on the left is active. So E stands for employee. Quite frankly, you exchange your time and effort for money. The more you work, the more you get paid. Just like a personal trainer. You don't work, you don't get paid. Simple. Actively working for money is an employee. Now the S is around being self-employed. You work for yourself, but you can take 6, 12, 18-week holidays, but obviously when you don't work, your business may suffer. So again, active, but a next level employee basis. Now on the right-hand side, you have B, so big business. This is passive and making your money work for you. Big businesses, these are people who have people working hard for them to generate an income. Think about it, Coca-Cola, for example, that's a pretty big business. They are creating products that you could invest in, and they will make money for you. And then finally underneath B is you've got investor. These are the people that have money working for them, and that's where Robert wants you to work towards. You might not like Donald Trump, but if he's made as much money as he says and he gets to spend time on the golf course, probably not a bad way to go. The point of the quadrant is that he wants you to move from the active side as being an employee or self-employed into the big business or investor side. This is where you begin to create passive income. You begin to make your money work for you. So you start acquiring assets. Assets are income generating. So you buy a stock and it pays you a dividend, and that dividend can be reinvested or it can be spent. All of a sudden, you've got more dividends coming in because you reinvest the dividends and you begin to build up your portfolios. Businesses might not be a big business, but you could create a business which begins to generate some income. 95% of people and 5% of the wealth sits on the left-hand side, but 5% of the people and 95% of the wealth sits on the right-hand side. And that's the key takeaway. Read the book, it's just mind-blowing and really eye-opening, and I would highly recommend that you do so. And I think the other thing to do is read it and then pay it forwards. Pass on the knowledge in the book to somebody who you think might benefit from it. Please don't be a slave to the time and money conundrum. The more you want to earn, the harder you've got to work. It's not about that. It's about making your money work for you, and that can be through investing, through passive income, through creating products, whatever it is, but you want to create more than one form of income, especially as you get older. Easier said than done, and it's going to take a lot of hard work, so don't think that passive income is easy and simple and a get-quick-rich scheme. Bit of a mouthful, because it's not. But having the understanding of how money can work and can work for you is hugely important. So please do yourself a favour and read the book. As ever, my name is Brendan. If you're new here, please do click the like button and subscribe. It just means that you will get the content the moment it's released. Please do let me know whether you've read the book, whether you like it. Did you agree with him? Did you not agree with him? What's your strategy? What are your passive incomes? Do you have a side hustle? Are you looking to create one, or are you starting from scratch? Either way, I would love to hear from you. Please do write me a comment. But with that, I will see you in the next video. Cheers.